Never underestimate man with gun. True. Here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the Croatian Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Goblin. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player from the land of the Netherlands representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. Oh boy, here we go. And even though Harstem is the favorites coming into this, so was Skillus. So was Skillus against Spats, and we saw what happened there. So, you know what they say about PvP. Don't want to go as far as to say it's a coin flip, but it can be really dynamic. It can be really chaotic. So anything can happen. Upsets can occur. Goblin, I'd like to think he has a good chance here against Harstem. As so far, nothing too crazy. Both players are going for double gate openers. The additional gateways are about to be thrown down, so standard stuff here. Everything is looking quite standard. As the first two gates are on the way. Gresvan is a pretty popular map to proxy on. There are areas here in between the steam vents and just outside the rocks as well. So this area and this area towards the north are very common for proxies. We can see Harstem does send out his first probe, and it looks like he wants to throw down his initial pylon out on the map. Now, this is still on Harstem's side of the map, so this is looking like a fake proxy pylon. Of course, Goblin is checking and he sees, hold up, where's your pylon? My pylon is in my main. My second pylon is in my main. Yours isn't. So Goblin, he knows that there's a pylon out on the map, and it could be for a proxy, or it could not. Like, he doesn't quite know. Harstem is going to be committing, is going for a Stargate very far out of the ways, but because it's so far away, unlikely to get scouted. It's going to take a little bit longer for the Oracle to get into the main base, but hopefully it will be a surprise for Goblin. As, Goblin is scouting, he's checking, and looking at the rally, he will come across that proxy Stargate. So I appreciate the location here from Harstem. It's further back to make sure it doesn't get scouted, but it will be. So, a little bit unfortunate there, as Goblin is going for his own Stargate, but back at home, pylon goes in, does confirm the Stargate, should see the first Oracle coming out, and Goblin can go for a Phoenix if he wants to. No. Never mind. He goes for an... yeah. Let's go. So, when you scout a proxy... When you scout a Stargate, you can opt to go for Phoenixes because you know that your opponent, is going for an Oracle, so you can just hard shut them down. This can lead into Phoenix battles, but unlikely to, especially with a proxy Stargate. So Goblin should be able to, get his Phoenix out in time, and he shouldn't really take too much damage at all from this Oracle. He is in position. Likewise, Harstem hasn't seen the main base at all. Oh my, so greedy here. Harstem didn't scout whatsoever, and he's going to be punished for it as Phoenix is revealed. The Oracle is being hunted down, and oof, this is just a hard shutdown here of the first Oracle. We have another Oracle on the way. These Phoenixes have been tagged, and we can see Goblin is trying to hunt that Oracle down. He's looking for it, Bobby. Thankfully, Harstem knows what the Phoenixes are, so he should be able to avoid it. Should be able to keep it alive. As both players are expanding, going for their natural bases. Goblin does pull back, and he is not stopping Phoenix production. Phoenixes are continuing. Harstem back at home, just going to be transitioning himself as well, going for his additional gateways, setting up his natural. But right now, Goblin has map control, just because of the opener. He does have full map control. He's going to get a couple of probes here into the main base as well. If he's lucky, he comes across the Oracle. Uh-oh. Run away, Poppy, run away. Get out of here. It's not safe. The Oracle will be able to hug the edge of the map and is going to be able to avoid these Phoenixes, thankfully. So there's a lot of potential with that Oracle. Meanwhile, Phoenixes, they dive into the natural, they get a couple more probes. They're free to do so because it was a Stargate opener. Goblin knows that the blink is delayed, so he knows he has a lot of freedom right now to just fly in between the bases and pick off probes. Meanwhile, back at home, Goblin, he's keeping a couple of Stalkers in the main base and in the natural as well. So being very wary. It even picks up another probe. Oh my god. We can't do Unisource Sab. 8 probes do go down. Oracle rocks up here in the natural, but there are Stalkers to meet it. And the Phoenixes come across the Oracle as well. They force the recall. I wonder if Goblin wants to try to hunt that Oracle down again. He knows it's out there. Meanwhile, the entire time Harstem has been building up these Stalkers. He is up to 3 gateways. Goblin, not so much. So Goblin, he has less Stalkers, but he makes up for that with the Immortal. He has an Immortal here with his army, so he can take a fight defensively, especially with the Shield Battery Overcharge. He should be able to hold on. Bearing in mind, I said defensively. Goblin is going to have a hard time pushing out against this army. Look at the units tab. We have 14 Stalkers against the 6 of Goblin. He's going to try and break free. He's going to try to expand. With these Phoenixes as well, he's going to be able to CC those Stalkers and does shoo Harstem away. As we work up towards as we work up towards a second Immortal. We can see Goblin just bullying Harstem back. Has to be careful not to overextend. Doesn't want to throw away any Phoenixes. Both players are taking their third bases. Harstem already has Blink. I believe, did Goblin skip his Twilight Council entirely? It looks like he did. Interesting. This is not normal. This is very Roddy. I know Roddy has an Immortal Phoenix Soul in on 2 bases. And Goblin is going for like his own variation of that. It's like a macro, just mass Immortal, mass Phoenix. There's a lot of power in this army, but it's not the most flexible army, as you can imagine. It's not as mobile as Harstem's. See how he can keep up. We'll see if he can keep up. Oh my god. Jesus. I'm freaking out. Harstem, he's double expanding behind this. I appreciate this. It looks like he's recognized how Immortal heavy his opponent is, which means Goblin's going to be staying at home. He's going to be stuck at home for a while, so why not double expand? Why not just take advantage of how much map control you have? Phoenixes are moving out, but Phoenixes, they can't lift up buildings. They can't stop you from expanding. Uh-oh. They can kill your mineral line, though, as a lot of probes are going to be going down. At the same time, we do see Harstem threatening to push into that third base. We have 3 Immortals and a Shield Battery, but the Shield Battery is being focused down. No overcharge is available. Good pickups here from Harstem, but at the same time, oh, he's losing so much back at home. 15 probes go down. And I'm sure we would get more if we had the energy for it. There we go. That's the only thing stopping these Phoenixes from killing more probes is the lack of energy. As they're just squeezing out as much value as they can. They also scout the Dark Shrine as well. And they're going to get eyes on the 4th base. Meanwhile, Harstem's still trying to find a way in with his main army, but he's running into 5 Immortals. 20 probes go down. Goblin working on Charge. Charge will be a great addition to this army. Going for Zealots, going for Archons. Can we get more probes? Do we have enough energy? Not yet. There we go. We need more energy, Papi. As the Stalkers finally go back home. The Goblin's going to have to get the hell out of here. Oh, we can see Harstem. He's actually trying to catch these Phoenixes, hoping that maybe he does come across them. Goblin expanding towards the south. Pylon is going to spot this ahead of time. Goblin is going to be able to reposition. Good force field. 2, 3 Stalkers go down. Very nicely done. Now, even though Harstem lost over 20 probes earlier, because he had 4 Nexuses, he was able to rebuild them. So he's now caught up and even surpassed Goblin's worker count up to 67. Now working on the 5th base as well. It's the downside of Phoenixes. They are energy-based units. With that energy, they can't really do too much. Goblin is not stopping. More Phoenixes are on the way. Jesus, how many immortals do we have? We have 6 immortals. We have to have 7. Ay, ay, ay. You know what would be amazing for Harstem? If you went double Robo Disruptor production. Disruptors would... actually, now that I think about it. Like, Disruptors would be really good against these Immortals, because the Immortals, they won't be able to avoid the Novas. But the Phoenixes are going to be designed to you know, CC, to crowd control those Disruptors. Speaking of... another mineral line is going to be going down. Oh, not like this. Harstem, he knows he can't do anything about it. He's just going to be leaving his probes to their own devices. 15, 17 probes go down. Ay, ay, ay. You don't want to be a worker for Harstem. Not in this PvP. What? Walk it off, he says. Is coming back home with his army, though, to be fair. Yo, he wants to try to catch these Phoenixes. But once again, Goblin. Oh! It's going to be hiding here in the dead space. The bottom left-hand corner of the map. Meanwhile, Harstem is working on disruptors. I do think that they can... There's a lot of potential with these disruptors. Like, if the Stalkers are able to successfully zone away the Phoenixes, then these disruptors, they can do a lot of damage. They can absolutely just annihilate this army. Like, Blink Stalkers, they can have a good time, like, avoiding Purification Novas, but Immortals, Archons, not so much. They're clunky, they're slow. They get in each other's way. I like the addition here. The addition here from Harstem. As he's going to be splitting up his army. He's got Archons on the right-hand side. He's got Stalkers here on the left. Looking to try to pull Goblin apart. Meanwhile, another mineral line is going to be going down. And here we go. It's go time for Harstem. Immortals are waiting for him. Sorry, Archons are waiting for him on the right-hand side. And the Immortals are here on the left. Harstem doesn't find a way in. He is forced back. Goblin doing a great job at just splitting up his army prematurely, ahead of time. The army rotation here of Harstem is being spotted by the Observer. First Disruptor has arrived. Yo, and Harstem is transitioning into Sky Toss. Let's go. Fleet Beacon is on the way. Second Stargate as well. Oh, yeah, second Stargate as well. The first one wasn't even depowered. He is the captain for a reason. But he's up against Mass Phoenix. Harstem just being bullied back, and he's being zoned away from his own base. He has to come back. He rotates around towards the left-hand side. He's able to go for a Zealot run-by, but we have Phoenixes to deal with this. Wow, oh my god. He is going to be able to clean up these Zealots without losing too much. But that's okay. Harstem, he needs to free up some supply. He needs to make room for that Sky Toss. For even the Mass DT. Oh my god. Going to pure Archon. Archon Stalker. Disruptors. How is this going to pan out? Again, the Archon's also doing a great job at zoning away these Phoenixes. First Nova is going to go off, and no, it will be picked up. Phoenixes do deal with the first Disruptor. We have another behind this. Nova will only zone away the army. This Goblin is going to be rotating around, looking for maybe that fourth base. Meanwhile, Goblin is going to have to fight if he wants to save these Archons. It's being forced back at the same time. A DT and Zealot run by head towards the fourth base of Goblin. does have shield batteries and cannons. The main army, or at least the Phoenixes, are going to be forced to turn around. He's going to be able to clean that up. The 5th base is going to go down. Goblin is down a base. It's down in the economy. Has a massive bank just because it's been trading so efficiently. Want to look here. Harstem has lost 8,000 minerals and 2k gas. Jesus. Goblin has just been so cost efficient this game. With his immortals, with his phoenixes, takes down a base. Harstem goes for a massive counterattack. We can recall back home. Uh-oh. Never, not quite connecting. Gets one Archon. Goblin is going to be losing a base. We're going for a base trade instead. Forcing our way into the natural base of Harstem. Robo is depowered. Again, we can always recall. First carrier is on the way. Decent connections on those disruptors. From those disruptors. As another Nova is going to be going up. Does connect with the Immortals. Already taking 3 of them down to half HP. You can see how powerful these disruptors can be. Meanwhile, across the map, Zelts are cleaning up that counterattack. Goblin is defending back at home. He takes down both Robos and the Robotics Bay. Meanwhile, the first carrier has arrived. Where is it? There it is. It's across the map. Oh, is this a miss rally? Oh god. The first carrier. No! Harstem! He throws it away. Carrier goes down. The jig is up. Goblin now knows. He knows about the Sky Toss. Bit of a miss rally from this Southern Stargate from the early game. Oof. Goblin is quick to remax. He had a massive bank. There are still 4 disruptors, even though we lost all the robos. Goblin still has to be careful. It's almost like Goblin's playing like a Protoss version of Mech. There's another Nova's going to shave off some of those Zealots. Fresh mining base of Harstem is going to go down. God, we're up to 11 Immortals. They still feel so fragile against disruptors. There we go. Nova goes off. Massive connection on those Immortals. The other won't quite connect. Phoenixes are going down. And it looks like we just don't have enough disruptors to really push on through. Another base falls for Harstem. And Goblin, he can just back off. He doesn't have to commit. Doesn't have to commit. He will take down another one of these Stargates. His first Stargate, I guess. Will back off. Double expanding behind this. Almost triple expanding. Those disruptors, though. I do think that Harstem has a better army. Yeah, these Immortals are starting to go down. 1 or 2. 2 Immortals do fall. I not like this. Here we go. This time the Phoenixes will pick up those disruptors. The Purification Novas will not connect. Oh my god, just barely gets that last disruptor in time. Goblin taking a massive fight. Gets on top of one of the carriers as well, and Harstem, I don't think he has enough. The Zelts are doing a lot though, the carrier as well. The Immortals are finally going down. But it's not enough. It's not enough as Harstem loses every single one of his high-tech units. Basically, only a Stalker army remains. And Goblin still has Immortals. And he's getting into his own Sky Toss. Fleet Beacon is on the way. GG gets called, and Goblin will take game number 1. GG, well played. I wish I checked at the end there, but I can't imagine how much more efficient Goblin was with his fights. Jesus. GG, well played. Goblin, slow and steady, you know? Building up his Immortal count, only being active with his Phoenixes. Having a steady Immortal and Archon count back at home. Just deflecting and absorbing any one of Harstem's pushes. We saw that Harstem was trying to be really active. If you remember, with his Blink Stalkers, he had an army towards the north, army towards the south. He kept trying to break into the 4th base of his opponent. or even the natural, but he just couldn't break the defenses of Goblin. And eventually Goblin maxed out, and that is when the pushes started. And before that, Harstem couldn't really keep up with the Phoenixes, right? The Phoenixes, every single time they went across the map, they killed the mineral line. They killed at least 16 probes. Ooh, every single time. Harstem just couldn't keep up. It's I can understand it's such a unique playstyle. Not a lot of Protoss players approach the PvP like Goblin does, so I can understand it can be really jarring, especially if you're a really stylistic player. If you're used to being like, if you're used to like harassing on multiple fronts and pushing in with your blink stalkers and out controlling your opponent, to go up against like this heavy robo composition, like it just completely nullifies that. GG, well played. And here we go, we're diving into game 2. Spawning in the top right hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the Croatian Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Goblin. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Blue Protoss representing Shopify Rebellion from the land of the Netherlands. It is Harstem. Go. What were the carries he was making for like 5 minutes? He only made, I want to say 3. I think he only made 3 carriers that game. Even though he had 2 Stargates, he was only ever producing from one of the Stargates. I wonder if that was maybe a mistake. Like, I wonder if maybe Harstem accidentally didn't hotkey both Stargates. I wonder if maybe something like that occurred. But he was only ever producing from one. And we saw the first one ride across the map and just died instantly. Second one was also caught out as well in the center of the map. So yeah, Harstem, he didn't have the cleanest transition into Sky Toss, unfortunately, despite getting that tech pretty quickly. Oh, relatively quickly. As we are getting into game number 2. Oh boy, once again, 2 gate openers all around from both players. Pretty standard stuff. We saw it bring it all back. It all started with Harstem going for the proxy Stargate, which just got completely shut down. The proxy Stargate never really paid for itself, and was also the reason why the first carrier died. As Goblin is going for a Stargate opener back at home, just like he did in the first game. Harstem keeps his second pylon in his main base, so Goblin knows that there's no proxy this time. And it looks like Harstem is setting up for a faster expansion. As Harstem does go for his Stalker Sentry opener, so a very safe opener here from Harstem. This means that he wants to be really defensive, and it makes sense alongside the Gateway Expand. So very safe, very economic opener here from Harstem. With this Sentry, the reason why it's safe is because it gives you access to hallucinations. You can go across the map and you can scout what your opponent is up to. We can see Goblin once again goes for a delayed Nexus, goes for a faster Stargate for Phoenixes. So is already commencing Phoenix production. Meanwhile, we have a hallucinated Phoenix coming out from Harstem to try to get a read on what's happening, the timing of the Nexus, and whether or not tech was thrown down first, like a Twilight Council, a Robo, or a Stargate, or even like a one-base all-in. So he will get eyes on the Stargate, does see the first Phoenix, and even sees the second Phoenix in production. But Harstem is now aware that, okay, it's the same opener as game number 1. Harstem now knows what's going on. And I wonder how he's going to adjust. Like, again, Harstem, he did stumble out of the gate in game 1 just because his proxy Stargate fell on its face. This time going for a blink opener, I do think he can have a little bit more momentum. I do think he's looking to shut down these Phoenixes. I think he understands now that the Phoenixes got so much value for Goblin in that last game, getting so many probe kills on their own, and even taking down the Disruptors later on, and even Stalkers. I do think Harstem is going to be a little bit more attentive at shutting down these Phoenixes ahead of time, and making sure they don't snowball out of control like they did in game 1. At least I imagine that's what he's thinking. As we go for another scout across the map. Oh, we do get eyes. Oh, as Goblin is mixing things up. Okay. And this is spotted. So Harstem, he sees the Twilight Council. This time it is not a Stargate into a Robo. This time it won't be this kind of mech style of PvP where we go into Immortals and Phoenixes. No, it's going to be Phoenix into Blink Stalkers. Okay. So Goblin is going for a more maneuverable army. Going for something very different. As the third base is going to be spotted by Goblin. Should be working on his own third momentarily. Hallucination comes in and does scout the third gateway. Which again is a sign of aggression. We can see that off of 2 gates, Harstem did take a third base. So Harstem once again should be taking the role of the defender, being aware that his opponent has more production than he does. And oh my god, that's 2 more gateways. It's quite a lot here for Goblin. I wonder if he is going to throw down a third base. As the Phoenixes do find 4 more probes. This is looking like a 2-base all-in, not gonna lie. He does have a probe in position for a third. It looks like he wants to throw one down. Harstem hasn't scattered the additional production yet. Oh my god. Oh yeah, this is 2-base all-in. Oh, and Harstem, he doesn't go in. He doesn't confirm. Doesn't see the additional gateways, so Goblin, he is not going for that third base. Mass Blink Stalkers are going to be coming out from our red Protoss. And Harstem doesn't know. We even have a proxy gateway across them. So how many gates in total? 5, 6, 7. A 2-base 7 gate all in. Ay. And Harstem is working on a forge. He's chronoing out probes, making 3 at a time, saturating his third base. We have... Actually, Harstem is keeping up in the overall Stalker count, to be fair. He is keeping up. Goblin is being forced back. He does throw down a third base. Oh, slow warp-ins. It looks like Harstem should be okay. Things could change here with this additional warp-in. As I believe Goblin should now take a Stalker lead. No, he doesn't. Goblin tries to force his way in, but Harstem does push him back. Yeah, Harstem, he defends. He wasn't skipping warp-ins. I was really surprised when I checked the units tab here and Harstem was actually keeping up in Stalker production, despite being down in gateways. Crazy. He was playing it out safe. Looks like he went for a follow-up scout. Okay. Didn't see the additional gateways. Goblin, he dives on 40, takes down the shield battery. He's diving on top of these Stalkers as well. The Phoenixes are adding quite a lot here. Is it going to be enough? Can Goblin break through? These probes are adding so much here. They're buying Harstem a lot of time. We can afford to lose probes just because the Goblin is all in. Or was committed, I should say. Harstem loses 13 probes, so you know what? He's still ahead. He's still ahead in the worker count. That's just how fast the third base was for Harstem. Goblin's still trying to force the issue. Forces boys off the line. Harstem has the better concave. Do we have energy on these Phoenixes? Oh, we are going to be able to pick up some of these Stalkers, but once again with the boys being pulled, it looks like Harstem is able to hold on. He's got a shield battery behind this. He's got an overcharge. Harstem loses 18 probes. He's still ahead. This Goblin is really trying to force this to happen. He's trying to make this worthwhile. Overcharge does force him back. At the same time, we have one Stalker racing across the map. Harstem getting an eye on the probe count here at the third, and he should be feeling pretty good about himself. He sees how undersaturated this third base is. And this just hasn't worked out for Goblin. Harstem now with +1, ahead in upgrades. He just has the better Stalkers, has the concave, has the high ground. And Goblin needs to switch gears. Ugh, he throws down the forge. I was gonna say like go for something like a Dark Shrine or a Dark Shrine. He's going for a Robo. But Goblin, like, this just has not been working for him. He is behind, and he's falling further behind the longer this goes on. We'll see if he can come back in another way, whether it's going for some kind of hidden tech or outpositioning your opponent. Blink Stalkers, they can, you know, of course, avoid each other, and we can end up in a weird base trade. So Harstem is going to shut down this proxy location. Takes a 4th base behind it as well. Solidifying his position. Goblin is going to spot that 4th. And Harstem has eyes on the army as well with his observer, so he knows not to, like, move out of position. He's sending a couple of Stalkers over towards his 4th, but for the most part, he knows where he needs to be. Yeah, from here, Harstem, he even shuts down the Phoenixes in the center of the map as well. Only 1 Phoenix is left. Harstem, he's up in upgrades, up in the economy, up in Stalkers. A fight can still go Goblin's way. We can see he's making Immortals, which will help. He may have to try to slow the game down. But Harstem's working on +3. Second Forge as well, I guess, for shield upgrades. So here we go. Harstem is pushing out across the map, hitting a powerful timing with +2. Charge, I believe, is done for both players. So Harstem is going to rotate around. There is an Immortal here for Goblin, which will help. Does add a lot of DPS here to his army. They are going to bounce off each other. And Harstem's just going to give up this position. I don't blame him as Goblin tries to catch him in the retreat. But Harstem is really respecting that, at least that Immortal. Doesn't want to throw anything away. So we can see he's getting into his own Immortal production. Could go into Disruptors. Either player could go into Disruptors. Goblin still down an entire base. He's going to rotate around. Harstem not quite in position. Can we snipe the Nexus? We're going for the pylons instead. The Nexus should be able to survive. Does stand strong. To be fair though, there is no overcharge and the base is going to go down. Solid pickoff here from Goblin. This is the beginning of his comeback. He actually supply blocks Harstem for a moment there and takes the supply lead. Goblin. Just continuing to orbit more and more Stalkers. He is evening up the economy. Rotating around. Catches an observer. Goblin is also closing the gap in the economy as well. Even long distance mining, just because he has to. Why not? And once again, Harstem not quite where he needs to be. Is the Nexus going to go down again? No shot. Harstem being knocked down to 2 bases. Not able to keep up, but this time he's committing. This time he's sending everything in. Immortal's doing so much in the backline, but Goblin has the larger army. He has the higher Stalker count. Despite the start of this game, despite the economy, despite the bases, Goblin is doing it. Wow, he just overwhelms the army of Harstem. GG gets called, and Goblin takes the series 2-0. Wow. GG. Harstem, he was up 2 upgrades. He was up in the bases, up in the workers. Did get heavily supply blocked earlier when he lost his 4th base. Heavily supply blocked actually. And in that moment, Goblin was able to just overcome him when it came to the overall stalkers. Had better positioning. Harstem just couldn't keep up. GG. Wow. I thought we were getting an ace match. I thought we were gonna tie it up, but no, never mind. Hey, in a PvP, you don't need a fourth base, okay? You don't need an economy. Don't need a fourth. Hey, you just need stalkers. GG. Oh my god. With that, Goblin advances on to face off against his next opponent in a qualifying match in a best of 3. It's gonna be Goblin versus Hero Marine.